Hi, once upon a time, the American dream was about what we call mobility, meaning we're moving. You started a job and you move up to a better job, and that might mean move to a new place or just in the same area, but you now can afford it and you move up to another house and you continually moving up the ladder of success. That was the American dream historically. But that's not happening right now. We're getting a stagnation in the economy, and it's not necessarily a good thing. The stagnation isn't by choice.
Right.
It's not a lifestyle change. It's, in fact, a warning sign to the economy. Hi, I'm Dave Lopez.
And I'm Chase Lopez, and we're investment advisor representatives with ILG Financial. And this is another episode of Retire Your Way with ILG Financial, where we talk all things retirement planning. Now, Dave, before we jump in, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can get alerted for our future videos. So I want to put some stats to what you were talking about there, this lack of mobility that we're really seeing in the economy right now.
Okay.
So in 2023, 7.8% of Americans moved in the year 2023. That is the lowest rate since they started tracking these statistics since 1948. To give you some perspective, in the 50s and the 60s, almost 20% of people were moving per year. So quite a drop that we've seen.
Huge drop
since then. And there's some contributing factors, a variety of them, I would say. We have an aging population just kind of in general. We have more dual income households, right? So if two people have to find new jobs, it's a lot harder than one person having to find a new job. The cost of living is just rising, and that's probably not news to a lot of people watching this video. So there are just fewer people moving to states and even local moves, like from a different neighborhood, even in your same town or same county. Those are also down nearly 50% over the last 30 years.
Yeah, that's a problem. And let's talk about specifically, since you brought that up, Chase, the housing gridlock.
Yes.
That's what we like to call it. What's causing that? Well, it's two factors. One of them is a lot of people move because they got a new job in another part of the country. But even if you didn't do that, we're stuck in the houses that we are often. And the reason is because we're coming off this window of historically low interest rates.
Yes.
And people are literally locked in a good way with very low interest rates. Now, the problem with that is if you sell your house and move across to the next neighborhood in a little nicer neighborhood, you're going to have to refinance with the new house at a much higher rate.
Right.
And the result may be, even if you haven't moved to a nicer, more expensive house, the same value home is going to make your mortgage payment go up dramatically because of the higher interest rate. So you're literally, we call it golden handcuffs.
Yes.
You're trapped into staying in the home. And that happened back in the 70s. Anybody from back in the 70s might remember, you didn't know a lot of people that moved, right? But everybody just put an addition on their house. That's when I grew up, it was like that. Well, the reason is they had low interest rates and they couldn't afford to give up their first mortgage. It was cheaper to stay in the house, keep the first mortgage, and then just get a second mortgage, Chase, on the addition. Right. But once interest rates started dropping in late 89, 90, for 20 or 30 years, we're in a dropping interest rate environment. It was fine to refinance. Well, that has ended now. So that's the housing gridlock. It's not a good thing.
Well, and to boot, the problem now is, I think they were saying 39% typically for a median family, 39% of their income goes towards housing. Right. So it becomes very difficult if you're at a 3% mortgage and you're jumping to a 6% mortgage. Well, for most folks, they just don't have the room in their monthly budget to make that move.
Yeah, to make your point, because of the low interest rate, they might be right at the 30% of their income going to their housing. So they can afford it. But the move may cause them to go to 39, which is now not feasible. So they're stuck you're just stuck ideally where you don't want to be. So we want to keep moving.
The other thing is with the job market, So all of this is kind of intertwined, But the job market is just a little bit different than it used to be. I mean, I think that's the best way to kind of put it. Just some stats for us. Job switching is down from 2.8% back in the 90s down to 2.3%. So what we're finding is a lot of folks are scared to leave their jobs, And for a lot of people, leaving their job is how they get a raise, How they move up the ladder in whatever field they're in. So people are kind of afraid to switch jobs, which contributes to this lack of mobility. They're staying in the job, they're staying in the home, for longer periods of time than they otherwise would, when we look back in history.
And why is that a negative, The negative is because ideally in a job, you want to continue to move up. as you take a new job, you take new challenges. It keeps things fresh, and usually it comes with more money.
Right.
If you're locked in, because remember, think of it like musical chairs.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If no one's moving jobs, then the job, Chase, you were going to move to isn't available because no one's left the job. So everybody's just kind of stuck in a stagnant situation.
Which makes it difficult for new folks to enter, right? Because that, to use your musical chairs analogy, right? There's no open chairs for new college grads or new people entering kind of the workforce there. So why does it matter, right? Why does kind of all of this matter? Well, big picture, right? Lower mobility equals lower productivity for the country at large, right? So that can drag on things like gross domestic product and how much the economy is growing as a whole. So what that also does is it kind of creates an unequal economy, right? So the people, I'm going to go back to your musical chairs analogy, right? The people that are in the chairs, right? They see their situations continue to go up, but it's harder for people to break into that game of musical chairs, and it's harder for them to move into these chairs that are kind of high on the
this is the biggest risk in any economy. When you start to get this disparity between the haves and the have-nots, if you can't somehow rectify it over time, eventually the system will break. Right? Because when no one else can get in the game, there will be revolt eventually. So we'd like to get out of that. So I wish we had solutions. We're not economists, right? But it might help explain what's going on. The 3 takeaways: people aren't moving as much. They're not switching jobs as much. They're kind of stuck in their homes and their jobs, golden handcuffs. And because of that, everything grinds to a halt. And in an effective economy, in an efficient economy, everything keeps moving like musical chairs. When that stops, it's not a good thing. And that's kind of where we are right now.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to get any alerts for our future videos. And we'll talk to you next time.
Hi, Dave Lopez here. I want to thank you for watching our ILG Financial video series, Retire Your Way with ILG Financial. Just wanted to remind you, in addition to our YouTube video series, we also offer podcasts, 30-minute podcasts on different topics. You can check them out through our YouTube channel. You can also look at them through our website or any of the below listed platforms. Talk to you soon.